Hello. In today's lesson, we will be looking at two different ways of solving a system of linear equation, solving by elimination and solving by substitution. Now, in the question, I have if 4 jujubes and 6 Smarties cost 24 cents, and 2 jujubes and 5 Smarties cost 16 cents, how much does 1 Smartie and 1 jujube cost? Now, this question is asking me, like, how can I solve for each one of these variables, the cost of a jujube, cost of a Smartie? So I first have to set this up as two algebraic equations. So I can use my either y equals mx plus b form or my standard form. In this case, I'm just going to do a very straight up, close to standard form. So I have one equation, and it's going to just be my kind of first line here, and it's 4 jujubes plus 6 Smarties, and I know that's going to cost me 24 cents. I'm going to have my second equation, so that's the second bit of information I have. 2 jujubes plus 5 Smarties, oh, that's an S, going to cost 16 cents. So when I solve by elimination, I kind of have to multiply one of my two equations so that I have an equal amount of one variable. So that means I have to either multiply 1 by a number so that either jujubes or Smarties are the same, or multiply 2 and get the same kind of idea. So right away I notice that my number of jujubes here, right here, is 2 and 4 for equation 1. So I'm looking at that, well, if I multiply equation 2 by 2, I'm going to have the same number of jujubes, 4 and 4. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to multiply equation number 2 and multiply the whole thing by 2. And this is going to give me a new equation, which I'm going to call 2 kind of star. And if I multiply the whole thing by 2, I'm going to get 4 jujubes now plus 10 Smarties, and that's going to equal 32 cents. It's still the same sort of equation, I've just multiplied by 2. Then I'm going to put back in my equation 1, which is 4 jujubes plus 6 Smarties equals 24 cents. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to subtract 2 star by equation 1. So I'm going to have here, I'm going to have a line, and I'm just going to subtract this from one another. So 4 jujubes, subtract another 4 jujubes, leaves me with 0 jujubes. 10 Smarties minus now 6 Smarties gives me 4 Smarties left, and 32 cents minus 24 cents gives me 8 cents remaining. From here, I'm actually just going to solve for S. So just like any other algebraic equation, I can just solve for S. So here I just want to now solve for number of Smarties, or solve for the amount Smarties 1 Smartie is going to cost me. So I have 4s equal to 8. Well, I can just divide both sides by 4. 4's cancel out. I'm left with 1s. I got to divide this side by 4, because whatever I do to one side, I do the other. And I get s is equal to 2. So now I know that 1 Smartie is going to equal 2 cents. So next up, I'm just going to plop that back into either equation, either 1 or 2. So I'm going to sub it back into 2. So I have my equation 2 now, my original one. I have 2j plus 5s equal to 16. Just going to move and give myself a little bit of room here. And I know that s is going to equal 2, so I can put that in. So I have 2j plus 5 times 2 equals 16. And then I just isolate and solve for j. So 2j plus 10 equal to 16. Now I bring the 10 over, change its sign. That's negative 10. So I have 2j equal to 16 minus 10. 2j is equal to 6, divided both sides by 2, and I have j equal to 3. So solving this equation by elimination, I have each Smarty equal to 2 cents, and each jujube equal to 3 cents. In part 2, we are going to learn to solve by substitution. So in part 1, we learned how to solve by elimination, and solving by substitution is a similar but slightly different process. I start off just as before, using my question to generate two equations. So this question is if I have 4 jujubes and 2 Smarties and they cost 26 cents, and I also have 2 jujubes and 4 Smarties and they cost 34 cents, how much does 1 Smartie and 1 jujube cost? So I start off with my two equations. So with my first bit of information, I generate my first equation. So 4 jujubes plus 2 Smarties equals 26. My second equation, I have 2 jujubes and 4 Smarties, and they cost 34 cents. So now that I have those two, in order to solve by substitution, I have to actually isolate one of the variables. So here I need to isolate. In this case, I think I'm just going to isolate jujubes. And I'm going to isolate jujubes, and I'm going to isolate from equation 2. And so I'm going to call this new equation 2 star. So I'm going to isolate j. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to move everything over, and I'm going to isolate for just one j. So I have 2j plus 4s equals 34. So I have 2j, and I'm going to move 4s over and change its sign, and that's going to equal 34 minus 4s. So I still have to solve for, or still have to isolate for 1j, so I'm just going to divide everything by 2. Move this down, and 2's get eliminated, and I have j, and that's equal to 34 over 2 is 17. Minus 4 over 2s, and that gives me 2s. So this is my new 2 star equation. So it's just like 2, but I've just changed it and I've isolated for j. So now that I have this and I've isolated it, I need to substitute 2 star into my first equation. So my first equation was 4j plus 2s is equal to 26. So now, since j is now equal to this bit here, 17 minus 2s, so for this one, I'm just going to put in where it's j, I'm going to put 17 minus 2s. I'm going to substitute it in, plus 2s equals 26. So it's just like my one equation. Now I've substituted what I got for j into where there's a j. So from there, since now I only have one variable, well, I can solve. I can solve for what 1s is. So I have 4 times 17, and that's going to be 68. I'm using my distributive property. 4 times negative 2, well, it's going to be negative 8s, and plus 2s equals 26. So I'm going to bring 68 all the way over, and I'm going to just collect some like terms. So negative 8s plus 2s is going to give me negative 6s, and I'm going to have 26 minus 68. And that gives me negative 42. So I want to get 1s, so I have to divide both sides by negative 6. Let's scroll down. And, well, they cancel out. And negative 42 over negative 6 gives me s is equal to 7. So now I solved, I know what s is. So s, each Smartie cost me 7 cents. So now that I know that each Smartie cost me 7 cents, I'm going to substitute that back into equation 2. And if we remember equation 2, it's all the way up here at the top. 2j plus 4s, 2j plus 4s here equals 34. So scroll down. I'm going to write out 2 again. 2j plus 4s equals 34. Substitute in for s so I can solve for j. 4 times 7, 34. So I have 2j plus 28 equals 34. Bring the 28 over here, change the sign. Get 2j equal to 34 minus 28. 2j is equal to 6. Divide both sides by 2. 2's cancel out. I'm left with 1j, and 1j is equal to 3. So 1 jujube costs 3 cents, and 1 Smartie costs 7 cents. So that's solving by substitution. And before we solve by elimination, so these are now 2 useful methods that we can use to solve a system of linear equation other than graphing.